So right before I jumped on to film, I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and I'm washing my hands and my curling iron is still plugged in because I curled my hair, which is, don't do that. Don't be irresponsible. Unplug your curling iron. One, but it was sitting on top of the only lip liner I own. And so now my lip liner is like this big melted mess. And at that moment, I realized that, you know, when I watch people on YouTube and they do story times, and I always assume that like they're probably not real and embellished or something, they're probably real because there is some version of this going on in my life each and every day. And yay, there's your story time from me today. And of course, it has nothing to do with the poor, but usually my random stream of consciousness never does. And I'm going to tell you about the pour in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 301 of 365 days of soap. Wild. I'm not going to get over that this week. It's so cool. And yeah, we are doing another Amy Warden Soap Challenge thing. Yes, and we are tackling tiger stripes. Now, tiger stripes in and of themselves, I don't like them. I find them to be very chaotic. Like, every tiger stripe pour I've seen, it's chaos. There's no real form or function to the bar, and I can't. So in general, I've never been a fan of these. So there's that. But I am going to do it, and I'm going to do it the right way with the angling of the mold and the flipping of the things and all of the jazz for sure, because Amy Warden is great at all the things and she will never steer me wrong. So that's what we're doing. Now the scent that we're using for this is another Nurture soap that we're testing. So it is Satsuma Orange and it is delightful. Like so far as scent throw goes on all of these, just out of bottle, there's not a single one that I haven't liked. So that's good. Yes, but let's go check out how it soaps, because that's going to be the ultimate most important thing, especially with citruses, because they have very fleeting notes and you want to make sure that they survive saponification and you're left with a bar that actually smells of citrus and not of nothing at all. Otherwise you've just like wasted money in your product. So let's go to the pour. We'll talk more about the tiger stripe and how it's all created and formed and all the jazz there. And you know, I'm going to do a tiger stripe. Okay, so we are doing the Tiger Stripe Soap Challenge from Amy Warden Soap Challenge today. And I'm going to do a 4-color thing. So light orange, dark orange on one side, light blue and a green on the other. And the scent blend that we are using today is again from Nurture Soap. It is Satsuma Orange. And look, everything looks great as far as the no acceleration, no discoloration. You know, we've had a really good experience with the Nurture soap stuff so far, so I'm definitely here for that. Again, still not remembering why I haven't been using them for like years. But yeah, and then we have the kaolin clay that will be dispersed throughout the entire batch. So far so good, all of the things. Now, the tiger stripe pour in and of itself. It's an interesting pour in that I don't like it. And I don't like it because it's hard, because it's really not. I don't like it because it's chaotic. Like the finished bar is very just all over the place. You can do cool things with it and make it less all over the place, and that's awesome. So that's kind of what I'm going to try to do today. So essentially I'm going to like split the bar. One side will be the blue and the green, the other side will be the two oranges. We're going to pour on an angle and flip the angle with each, you know, section. And then I'm probably going to take a hanger to it, kind of like in a butterfly swirl fashion, and see what comes of the inside. Now, the thing about the tiger stripe technique, I mean, it is literally just, it can be anything, right? So you can be, like the typical tiger stripe technique, apparently, is you're just laying colors one on top of the other over and over and over again in the middle of the mold and continuing to lay them down until, right in the center, until all of the soap is in the mold. Cool. And it's all a thing. So it's just kind of, hey, I'm just going to pour soap in the mold and see what comes of it. Yes. But then there are ways that you can vary it. So a way that you can vary it is by putting it like on angles and switching the angles, by taking hangers to it, by doing, I mean, lots of things, really. And so in the end of the day, it really is just sort of like a chaotic thin lines pour, because that's the biggest trick with the tiger stripe, is you want to maintain a thin batter throughout the pour. And interestingly, because the batter will continue to set up as you pour, the bottom layers will actually end up being really thin, and so the lines will be very thin from color to color. They will actually merge into each other more. And then as you progress up the bar, the batter will get thicker, and so that your lines will become more defined and thicker. And so that can be interesting and cool too. So again, I don't like the look of a tiger stripe when it's all said and done. Like, this has been a soap that I've seen, and I think that Amy Warden has done this soap challenge a couple times. And anytime I look at it, I'm like, that's a lot of mess. That's just a lot of chaos. And I don't understand. And I think that might have to do with the number of colors that are usually used for something like this. And so this might actually look prettier with like 2 colors, but I'm doing 4. So yay, I'll probably not like my bars, but let's go pour them and we can, you know, talk about the pour. So I have my mold set up on an angle. I'm just using towels to prop up the sides. And I'm going to make about 4 or 5 back and forth passes with each color. And you see here, there's not a lot of difference actually between the green and the blue once I got the scent in. And so I'm wondering what that's going to look like in the finished product. I'm interested. There are many scent blends out there that actually make the soap do weird things in the color, and then they or in the batter, and then when it saponifies, it goes to the color that it's supposed to be. I did a bar, the Yule bar, the winter solstice bar, during 12 Days of Christmas that did that, and the soaping notes did not say anything about that, and so that I was like big irritated with the whole thing. And this one also, the soap notes, it does not say that this happens, and so there may be something else at play here. I don't have any real reason to question Nurture Soap's fragrances at this point, because so far their soaping notes have been pretty spot on to my experience. So there may be something else going on. Now, notice with this layer, I essentially did light and then dark for the pour. And so the lighter color is on the bottom, and then the darker, yeah, that. And pay attention to that, because actually within the next round, I think I end up switching the order, and then I go dark and then light for both the green blue side and the orange side. So yeah, all a thing. But you see how fluid that batter is. Like, this is a delight. This is delightful. This batter is absolutely delightful. I love a super thin batter more than anything in the world. It becomes such an enjoyable pour for me. It's much like, you know, ombres or gradients, like when we did the Lover bar for the Taylor Swift line, or the Sunrise Sunset bar, the Orange Mimosa, the Lemon Drop. I love batter that is this thin and beautiful. It's so therapeutic to pour a bar of soap like this. And for that reason, I guess I don't really understand why I dislike the tiger stripe. I guess the reason why I dislike the tiger stripe is because at the end of it, you're left with like a chaotic mess, right? And so you had this very cathartic, very healing, beautiful soaping experience, and then you cut it and it's like, wow, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of pattern. And it's all, and I guess it's just, you know, preference. But I've also noticed that when there are soaps like this that are just all over the board and super crazy, and there's not like one base color to go off of, those tend to sell less when they're too chaotic in design. And so I think that's another reason, because I want all of my soap to be fun and awesome, and obviously performance is first and foremost in my mind, but the design, it needs to be saleable. And if it's not saleable, then why did I just waste all this time? So I guess that's one of my gripes with the tiger stripe soaps. That said, I've never actually done a tiger stripe. I've just seen a crap ton of them over the years because they're like big popular, kind of the way that the pull-throughs are big popular. And I don't think I'm going to go as far as to say that tiger stripes are stupid, because the reason that I say pull-throughs are stupid is because I'm bad at them, right? But it's kind of hard to be bad at this. Like, you control your batter, and you notice how it's thickening up a little bit? We are now on past the middle section of the soap, essentially. And it's getting thicker, which again, it's interesting because it yields thicker lines. It will yield thicker lines when we cut it. And, you know, that's cool. So it will be kind of thin lines at the you know, bottom of the bar, and then it moves to, you know, mid, and then thicker. It's all going to be a cool thing. And then, you know, we might be able to like flip the bars around and see, you know, if it looks better to have the thicker lines on the bottom versus the top. Whatever. I'm a more visual person than an I'm going to explain things person, so maybe we'll talk about that in the cut. But yeah, so again, this is, I think, the final round of the final round of the passes, and I reversed the color again. So I did light dark starting, and then I did dark light in the middle, and now I'm doing light dark again. And honestly, the only reason I'm doing this is because I was a couple passes into the second pour of the greens, and I noticed that I had reversed the order, and I went, oh, well then I'll do this. And so I actually made a concerted effort to make sure that, yeah, so we'll see what happens. But again, it's getting progressively thicker with all of this. This is the nature of I'm using a very fluid batch. Actually, that's not even true. I'm using my basic quick mix for this. I'm not using a very fluid batch. Like the instructions in Amy Warden Soap Challenge totally say use a very fluid batch, long, you know, slow trace, all the jazz. I'm using basic quick mix, and so it's equal parts olive, coconut, and palm. So it's whatever. And I think it stayed really fluid throughout the whole pour. Like there's just nothing wrong with any of this. And especially considering I make clay soaps, right? And so clay thickens a batch faster anyway. And the super fat on this is only about 5%. So there's not a lot of, again, it's just setting up naturally like normal soap does. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of necessity to really work with a slow moving batch, because as I said, each of these sections are going to look different, which if you're going for a tiger stripe, I think you're going for chaos, so them all looking different is good. I mean, I don't know. Do you do tiger stripes for soapers that are watching? Are you into them? Is that like a thing? Because I rarely see a tiger stripe that I go, oh, that's cute. And usually whenever I see it, it's done in just a 2-color. Just 2 colors are used. And that's the whole thing. So, I don't know. This is just something that I'm going to play with. I actually did see one of them that I thought was very interesting because, you know, the past challenges all exist on Amy Warden Soap Challenge, you know, website, right? And so you can click on the thing and look at all the old entries. And I actually did see one that interested me in that it looked like they had taken a hanger to it. So they'd done this crazy thing with all the pouring and the whatever, and they took a hanger to it, sort of like in a butterfly swirl thing. The only problem is I forgot how to do a butterfly swirl at this exact moment. Like, I could not remember to save my life, and so I just kind of moved the hanger around a little bit. That was, yeah. But no, that pour was actually kind of cool, having the extra pull with the hanger. It took there was some extra interest in the bar that I was kind of there for. So I decided to try that with my soap and see what comes of it. And now it's just a matter of taking the little bit of extra soap that's left over, and I'm just going to lay it on in ways that I usually never do. This is more time consuming than it's worth, but you know, the pour went so beautifully that at the end of it I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do some extra whatever. And yeah, then this will get put in the oven for pop and gel. I want to see if that blue will come back to the color that it's supposed to be with all of it, and you know, time will tell after when we cut it, I guess. And we will, you know, skewer the top and go from there. And I'm thinking with the cut, as I'm watching this and as I was making this, I was thinking it might be really cool to try cutting this loaf of soap in a couple different ways, kind of like we did with the Bro Code, and I showed you 3 essentially different designs within the exact same pour of soap just based on how you cut it. And I thought it'd be interesting to cut something that's this weird in different ways. So do like a thin lines cut, as well as like a mantra swirl type cut, as well as the regular stock standard cut. And so I think that's what we're going to do for the cut. But for now, this is definitely ready for saponification in the oven overnight. So as I said, this cut's going to be a little bit weird because I want to play with the designs. And nice shiny loaf, a little bit of cracking, a little bit overheated, but definitely went through gel, looks great. The colors, the difference between the blue and the green, not exactly what I wanted though with that. So I guess I was a little slight on my micas, really, which is kind of the story of my life. I underuse micas all the time. Now for this first cut, I'm just going to go ahead and slice it just about 3 inches in, and we will be able to see, because of this slice, because it's a normal top down, what it looks like, right? That's what it would look like if we were to cut it in just regular 1-inch chunks from the top down, which is super beautiful. I like that. That's a cool like butterfly moth type thing with all of that. That super works. But because I've never really liked the tiger stripe design and find that to be too chaotic and crazy, I wanted to play with the cuts and see if we could reveal different patterns cutting it a different way. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and cut it like we would for a thin lines. So from side to side instead of from the top down, right? And so we'll see if this yields any other patterns that might make a tiger stripe more appealing. And yeah, it kind of doesn't. And that's kind of to be expected. It's a cool bar, but have I talked about the scent yet after saponification? It's delightful. Oh my god, it's so bright. This is such a great orange. Like, I can't even with this. Now, we're also going to cut this like we would a mantra, right? So we're going to cut the top off, and we're going to cut it essentially in thirds. So we're going to cut the top off and the bottom off, and you put it on its side and cut it, right? And yeah, no, same sort of thing. You're not really revealing any sort of pattern that couldn't be achieved by just making a regular bar o soap, really, with some sculpted layers. So you're not going to be able to really, so now we know cutting a tiger stripe 3 different ways there's no benefit. So the best way to cut a tiger stripe is going to be from the top down in your proper usual 1-inch chunks. So that's what we are doing for the rest of the loaf. And these bars, that's pretty. Like, that's pretty. It would be better if there was the light blue and the darker green. It would have been a better contrast, but I mean, that's gorgeous as far as, you know, a butterfly swirl goes, or a moth, you know, because again, I hangered it kind of weird, but that pour with doing the weird hanger to it, that yielded some very beautiful bars. And again, this bright orange, delicious, it's delightful. This scent is actually good enough to eat and it's super strong. So this is definitely one that I'd pick up from Nurture again. And I don't often say that because mostly I'm like a one and done when it comes to fragrance oils. Like, oh, it was fun, I tried it, and now I'm done. But this scent is great. And that's beautiful. That's absolutely gorgeous. That one right there was almost like you had a butterfly at the top and like some sort of tiger thing going on at the bottom. That was absolutely delightful. So, I mean, all things considered, it's a very good tiger stripe pour. It looks beautiful. It's, you know, as far as tiger stripes go, that's not too shabby. And I don't know, I still think that they're all kind of chaotic. But if you get the right color scheme and the right color pattern, I guess you can make the tiger stripe look really nicely, look really nice. And so, you know, for that, take it for what it is. And lots of different options with all of this. It's definitely, it's cute, you know, when doubled up or whatever, but also you sell soap kind of individually. So it's the ultimate, just the one bar, what does it look like? And it's going to be beautiful as well. That is day 301, my tiger stripe. So like the actual finished product of that is kind of cute. Taking the hanger to it and doing essentially what you would do for a butterfly swirl within something that had already been tiger striped and layered. It was cool. I could put bars together. It told a story between the two bars. That was a lot of fun. My colors weren't so obscene that it just looked super, super chaotic. So yeah, like I like that. It's a great bar for sure. It's a delightful blend. That scent blend is wonderful. So after saponification, it still just shines so beautifully. It's so bright and crisp, and I love it. So I am digging this Nurture soap fragrance for sure. If you would like to see what Georgia May does for her tiger stripe soap thing, which she's also never ever done, you could subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate you. Click the word. That'd be cool. You could be part of this whole crazy soapy ride. For those of you who have, click that button, that word. Hey, thank you. I am so glad to have you along for this crazy soapy ride. It's been a ton of fun. I am out of here for today. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of soapy fun. Georgia May is going to show us her tiger stripe and all of the jazz. So thank you so much for joining me again. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.